Okay. Okay. Very good.
All right.
We'll do that.
We'll not do that, but you will just.
Yeah, just make sure it says something.
Yeah. Hello, Alan. How are you?
So there was a question about design.
So it's now, I'm saying it's 15:50?
Yep.
Okay. It's now 15:50. If people could sit down, we'll get started. George, could I ask you to close the door in the back?
Well, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of us. I mean, I think when this piece of work is done, we're done.
It's just about the time another one
Something
goes
give it to
wrong.
you. Oh, okay.
Of course, the one person I wrote all this text for.
It's in here. Well, he's already said he's happy with it. Hello, everybody. I'm Andy Malice. This is Stuart Bryant. That is Dave Sinecrope. And we're here for what may, in good probability, be the last meeting of the PALS working group. So we shall see. So, as I'm sure you've heard by now, unless this is your first meeting today, there is a new Notewell. So this is the brand new Notewell. So I will leave it up for a moment just to give those of you who might not have seen it before a chance to check it out. Okay. This is our agenda. It's a short agenda, and we probably won't need all the time allocated to us, but we do have it available if we need it. So anyway, first is the chair's report, which I'm doing right now. Second, we have our last working group draft, which is PALS Ethernet control word. Stuart is the primary author on that, and he'll be doing the presentation. And then we will be having an outgoing liaison to some of our partner SDOs regarding this draft. And so I've written a draft of the liaison, and I'll have it available for us to take a look at and review in real time. So first of all, we have had one new RFC since the last IETF, which is RFC 8338. Since we reformed PALS out of PWE3 in November of 2015, we've published 17 RFCs. So we've done a good job of clearing out our queue and our charter. And I would like to give a huge round of thanks to Deborah, because none of that would have been possible without her help. So thank you, Deborah. And as I said, and we also have one of the draft that's still on the RFC editor's queue. That's PALS P to MP PW LSP ping. So that one should be popping out shortly. And as I said, we have one working group draft. That's a draft IETF PALS Ethernet control word. That's on today's agenda, so I won't say anything else about it. And there's one other thing to bring to the working group's attention, which is actually something which is going to be discussed more in the MPLS working group session on Thursday. And Loa is available here to take any questions that you might have on this. This is a draft which is co-authored by the MPLS working group co-chairs and the PALS working group co-chairs, and has to do with the fact that the LDP specification still specifies the use of MD5 for authentication. However, the security area loves to point out to us whenever anything comes up that references LDP in a draft, the fact that they don't like MD5 anymore. They basically told us, in fact, they told us a while ago, back in RFC 5925, that MD5 is really no longer considered secure, and protocols should be looking to alternatives to MD5. So BGP has already taken care of this, and some number of years ago, I think it was like 7 years ago already, BGP specified the use of TCP/AO, which is the TCP authentication option, as a replacement for MD5. And what we've been looking at is for LDP is following in BGP's footsteps. However, you can't just say use TCP/AO. You also have to choose a particular cryptographic mechanism, of which there are a number of choices to go along with TCP/AO. And so what we need help from, especially from those folks in the security area, is trying to figure out what that cryptographic mechanism should be. And the other issue that we want to bring up with the security area is the fact that there hasn't been a huge amount of adoption for TCP/AO. In fact, those of us who are in the leadership in the routing area are kind of struggling to try to find actual implementations and deployments of TCP/AO. Even one, some number, a good number of years after it was written and specified for BGP. So we're trying to coordinate this across the routing area. This is an issue that's not just an LDP issue. It's a lot bigger than that. So we're trying to coordinate this with a bunch of other working groups and protocols, including BGP, MSDP, and PCEP in terms of the protocols, and IDR, PAM, PCE, BES, Routing Working Group, PALS, and MPLS in terms of the working groups. And as I said, we're asking for the guidance from the security area, and Stuart is planning a presentation at the security area open meeting later this week. Which day is it on? Do you know?
Thursday. It clashes with the second session of RTGWG.
Okay.
I'm apparently scheduled for minute 40 of the meeting on Thursday.
Okay, so anyway, on Thursday, Stuart will be making a presentation to the security area, basically saying, help.
Now, it's a bit more complicated than this. There's been some discussions, and Jeff Haas has been doing some good work and had a discussion with the operators on yesterday. And we're kind of getting the impression that actually the operators don't really care, and they just use MD5 as a checksum, and the security ADs didn't really quite understand what we were trying to do. As far as I'm concerned, I think so long as as peace breaks out and people don't hold our drafts to hostage, I'm happy with any of these, any resolution. So in some ways, this is a stalking horse to either produce an
algorithm, whether you use SHA-1 or AES128.
Yes.
So on the one hand,
Obviously, you don't want to start using SHA-1 now because a few years down the road, you're in the same place as you were with MD5.
no. So the two sides of this argument, the two sides of this discussion are MD5 is not good enough. Find a better algorithm. Including all of the other bits and pieces we really need to use TCP/AO, actually we don't care. We use MACsec to secure all these things anyway. MD5 is only there as a better checksum, so we don't need any of this. Now I don't care. I will faithfully drive this piece of work, with all the work, anything I do, to conclusion. I don't care what the answer is. Yeah, they use they use a data link security system to hide the stuff. Right, hang on. Right, and then as far as they're concerned, this is what I'm hearing from the operators, and then.
I don't know which operator is saying that's a really bad answer.
That is what they.
You can't get on to an Ethernet link that uses MACsec unless you set it.
Completely agree. Because we're not talking about
Anyway.
Use the microphone, you don't know who's listening.
Whatever. I think the key thing is there's a spectrum of opinions. The function of this draft, I think, is to get us into a position where drafts are not held hostage over this issue. And as far as I'm concerned, we should work to whatever resolution gets us into a position where we can carry on publishing drafts.
Very good. So, Luke?
Do you want to hear any more? Or you want to move on?
No, please.
Give us your position.
So 2 things about the MACsec or some other types of single hop security. In any protocol that goes multiple hops, obviously that doesn't work. And I know of one protocol that was recently approved on the premise that it's always going to be used 1 hop. And what went through the security area was that either you have to run it was TLS, or you have to use the generalized TTL security mechanism, which I think is a great name for set it to 255 and make sure it's received at 255.
Yes.
To break anything that's 1 hop. So I there's an existence proof you can do something different than MD5 and TCP/AO, whether it's something you want to use, I don't know.
I was coming before. First of all, it's a completely valid thing that, of course, MACsec is hop by hop, even if you use the end-to-end ones in addition to the hop by hop. But number 2, so what? Are you forcing anyone who uses LDP to always go over Ethernet? Maybe someone wants to do something else. And in any case, the LDP is not an Ethernet level protocol. Therefore, even if someone uses it, it's completely irrelevant. And you have to solve this problem. And if you're saying that you don't really want to solve it, just a political issue, that's fine. But I think it's a problem which can be easily solved. There are algorithms that can solve this very nicely. The RFC you mentioned here, 5925, there's a sister RFC, one bumped up one from there, with the options given. Pick one and go. But don't take the shower.
Whatever. We just want to drive this to a conclusion.
Okay. Any other discussion here? So this is going to come up again in the M+ working group on Thursday as well. So there'll be much more discussion there as well if you're interested in attending there. Okay, that's the end of this deck, and we're going to move over to Stuart's deck. Wait 1 second.
Oops. One, go up. So next slide, please.
Okay. Here, Stuart. Oh, actually, no. I don't have the
a microphone here.
Okay, very good.
So what we did was we took the feedback that we got at the last IETF and applied it to the text. We got a bit more feedback, and we're hoping that this is the last opportunity, the last time we need to discuss this in the working group. Okay. So next slide. So we added the following text, that where the application to the end of section 4, which basically says where the application of ECMP to an Ethernet pseudowire traffic is where the application of ECMP is required, and where both the ingress and the egress PEs support the ELI, or both the ingress and the egress PEs support FAT, then either method may be used. The use of both methods on the same pseudowire is not normally needed and should be avoided unless circumstances require it. In the case of multi-segment pseudowires, if ELI, entropy label ELI is used, then it should be used on every segment of the PW, but the method by which we know whether that's it is available on every segment is out of scope of the document. This was to resolve a comment at the last meeting and on the list, and I don't think it's egregious. So you're looking as if you need the bag you find in front of the seat in an aeroplane, Yakov.
No, I'm not commenting on this.
Okay. Okay. So does anyone wish to comment on this paragraph that was added that hopefully will finally resolve what we do about the use of entropy in the path along the network? Okay. Next slide then, please. The next comment we got was that we didn't actually specify where we put some of these labels. So I added the text that the PW label is pushed before the LSP label. As the entropy ELI labels are part of the LSP layer rather than part of the PW layer, they are pushed after the PW layer has been put, after the PW label has been pushed. The little diagram under there is to illustrate it for the room. It's not part of the text. So I think it's quite clear that if you say something is pushed after something else, where it goes. Apparently, there was a comment on the list about us not specifying which order we would push these labels. Yes, and I think the text agree. Does the text agree with what your pretty obvious is, Yakov? Good. I'm not picking on you. You just weren't here last time. Next slide.
It's not my fault for not being here for a while, so I guess you can pick up.
Next slide, please. So the old text at the end of operations, this was because some people were concerned about us saying to remove this in the long term and hence reduce the operational cost of investigating problems associated with the incorrect forwarding of packets with over PWs not using the CW control word. It is recommended that the equipment does not support the control word be phased out of operational use. There were a number of people who objected to this. I can now understand why they objected. So I have some text that replaces this text. So the next slide, please. So this replaces this text, and I'm going to go through it a paragraph or a sentence at a time. Instead of including a payload type in the packet, MPLS relies on the control plane to signal the payload type that follows the bottom of the label stack. Correct statement. Next slide, please.
You could say it better, since MPLS packets are not self-described. I think that's the accurate way to say it.
Okay. I can make that change. If the scribe notes it, I can make that change. But we're really into the editorials here, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, you're doing ITU style. Line by line, let's vote on it. So.
Yes. No.
Actually, I would say take that to the list.
Yeah. I was hoping that we could. Yes. Right. Some LSRs attempt to deduce the packet type by MPLS payload inspection, in some cases looking past the pseudo-wire control word.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Because
It was a surprise to us as well.
no, because I know you look past the control word for all sorts of devious, interesting things having to do with ECMP and things of that sort, but not. You really can't, in any reliable way of doing this.
That's
I'm
correct.
glad you mentioned
Because-
that.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Because you are relying on
A-
knowing
a-
things about ether type.
One of the
MAC addresses.
one of the 5 large vendors does do this. There's a switch in their CLI that says,
Do bad stuff.
yes, honestly, there is a vendor that we all hold in great respect, and not one I think has ever paid me. Okay, so I believe this to be a true statement as well.
It is a very true and sad statement.
Next slide, please. If the payload appears to be IP or IP carried in an Ethernet header, they perform an ECMP calculation based on what they assume to be the 5 tuple fields.
This I agree with. This is exactly what I was alluding to. That I know that happens. Yes.
Yes, but they'll do it they'll do it even with the control word in place.
Oh.
Some of them do it with the control word. That was the point of the previous sentence. Some say, I've seen a control word, it must be Ethernet, I'm going to skip 14 bytes and do this.
Actually, I believe that the Wireshark dissector for pseudowires also does that.
Right.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Next slide. However, deduction of the payload type in this way is not an exact science, and where a packet that is not IP is mistaken for an IP packet, the result can be packets delivered out of order. Yep. Next, please. Misordering of this type can be difficult for an operator to diagnose. That's why we're here. That's why we're having this whole conversation. Ignis isn't here, but he has spoken to lots of operators about it. Operators therefore need to be careful when enabling capability that allows the information gleaned from packet inspection past the control word to be used for any ECMP calculation. So this is not as hard and fast as get rid of the stuff that behaves like this. It is saying just be careful. We have warned you. You're on your own.
Why don't you simply say that this is not? You used before the word recommended. It is highly not recommended to do such inspection.
we had objections from people who unfortunately aren't in the room today, so they can't speak for themselves, but they did have objections.
But the original sin having to do with this control word came from another large vendor who, when Luca and I said the control word should be mandatory, said, no, we can't do that because of implementations, and now we're stuck with it. So why are we going into the same problem again? We should say what we recommend should be done, and if someone wants to do something else, it's their problem. Sorry for coming in at this moment. And
I'm not here.
Sorry, what? So the question is, do we need to go beyond this? And if we do go beyond this, are we going to get consensus to finish this piece of work?
can you tell me what this is supposed to accomplish? This doesn't actually recommend doing anything. It says, be careful. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think, even if one accepts that the other statement was too strong, and I'm not convinced that it was, but this seems way too weak, and I think one needs to hunt for something something in between. The easiest one is to say it's not recommended, it's recommended that you don't do this, and that's certainly less strong than the you should scrap your equipment.
Right. So
You can say from now on, all modern design should not do this. If something is legacy, it's legacy. They were all legacies to the wire systems also.
So I think there is a reason why they would do it. So just remember, this is they're also doing DPI past the yes. This was because I think they had some infrastructure, probably in a very large market such as the phone industry or something or other, where they found it of use to do this.
But that's legacy.
Yep.
Yes.
But we all love to be clever.
Yes.
And get more information to use in our
Yes.
decisions our equipment's making. But this operators need to be careful. This just seems really weak.
It basically is not saying anything. They know they're supposed to be careful.
No, I don't think they do actually. Otherwise, they would. I'm not
No,
convinced
it's not
that.
the operators who are doing this. It's a vendor who's
No.
providing the-
They have to turn the feature on. If you know it is absolutely benign in your application and it is the way to get the extra bandwidth, then, what we're going to do, I don't think there's any text we could write in here that would stop vendors putting such things in their equipment if that's what their customer asks for. They'll do anything that their customers will pay the money for.
Really?
Yeah.
So why don't you put that in there? Since we know that vendors will do anything their customer asks for, then don't bother writing RFCs because no one's going to read them anyway. We should be saying
okay.
what we believe is the right thing to do. And if someone thinks that they have a local optimization, which is not compliant to the IETF way of looking at something, then they do it at their own risk and be done with it. Our saying you should be very careful because you're doing silly things, it just sounds...
Be careful not to do something you appear to be ruling out something that you think is proprietary behavior.
Yes.
Because we don't write things about proprietary things.
Right. And I think this is just saying be careful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is saying be careful.
Right. And be careful is not going to stop anyone doing something because presumably they will be careful.
I mean, obviously you're doing this in your network because you believe that there's a benefit. You need to
Yes.
do some
Yes.
traffic spraying,
Yeah.
right? And it's not going to disrupt your services.
Right.
Because
Yes. And this is just
the design
saying,
decision you've taken.
sorry?
This is the design decision you've taken for your network.
Right. And this is just saying, think about it. To make sure you're not going to do it, make sure it isn't going to break.
I mean, to me, going any stronger than that is something you put in a user guide or something. For
Yes.
a
Yes.
piece of equipment.
Yeah. But I think this is fine in terms of just think about what you're doing. Or do you rather I even took this out?
I mean, if you said something that said operators should only enable this, or or this type of capability should only be enabled when the network is constrained to only carry.
Yeah, but I mean, they could carry an
Traffic
infinite number of.
If you know what your traffic is and you know that it's always something that can stand this, but it's really not.
No, this is a standard document, isn't it?
This is informative.
Yeah, informative. Okay.
So one
It just, you need to say something about what they need to be careful about, or
Well, I mean, there's been a bunch of text before this saying what goes wrong.
right. If
Yeah.
this is an informative document, not a standards document,
Yes.
all you have to say is, for information, you should know that there are implementations out there who do so and so.
Yes.
You could even put in parentheses, highly not recommended.
Yes.
Done.
No.
Don't start saying be careful. You gave the information. People understand what it says. You're done. I don't like us saying even in a formal document, be careful.
You're still making a comment on something that's basically.
So you think I should delete the last sentence?
Well, what I was saying here is in these if you turn these features on,
Yes.
don't expect the pseudo-wire control word to protect you against packet misordering.
So
Really, this is a comment. Really, this is a comment on
Yes.
the expectation of the behaviour with the control word, not a comment on the proprietary behaviour. I'm trying to turn it
Right,
around. So
yes.
it's something about a standard rather than.
So which so the question
I was about to make the text editable.
is, what should I do with this text?
So if we look at this sentence, which is highlighted,
Were we happy up to the point where I said misordering of this type can be difficult for the operators to diagnose, which is actually, why we're here, because apparently they did find it difficult and spent hours trying to do it.
Why do we have to write that in the document? I agree, it's correct.
Because
Why don't we just simply say that if you do this, you can get disorder? That's enough. Why say it's hard to diagnose?
because I was hoping that it might cause people to sort of think a bit harder, because what you don't want is one ops team to say, we'll do this, we'll get them the extra bandwidth that they need, and then another ops team to come along trying to figure out why.
Here's the punchline. It's hard to diagnose, and therefore it's highly recommended not to do this. Done.
Well, no, because you're saying it's highly recommended. You don't know what the use case is.
Yes.
Because the use case when this is occurring is it's highly recommended to do it, which is why that feature is there.
Yes.
Because of poor life.
So what?
So, no, I mean, I suspect that there is a valid use case for.
There is a
so you
valid
wouldn't
use
get-
case for that.
So in that use case, it's not highly recommended not to
Yes.
do it.
The use case is they've got no other entropy mechanism, presumably, or this is a better entropy mechanism than they would have otherwise
Well,
had.
my guess is that they probably need more entropy than they're getting from. And I mean, this is presumably looking into
Yeah.
four headers or something. So they need finer packet spraying.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. So
so how about if we say operators should be aware when enabling capability that allows information gleaned from the packet to be used in any ECMP calculation, that this will or this may cause misordering of Ethernet frames in the control in the pseudowire.
Or maybe this may cause Ethernet frames to be delivered out of order.
Yeah. Because,
Certainly a true statement.
yeah.
I'd also add, despite the presence of the pseudo-word control word.
Out of order. Be delivered in a
So despite the presence
yeah.
of the,
Pseudo-word
Out of order.
control word.
yes,
So what it's saying is, because we always expect the pseudo-word control word to help prevent the sort of misordering, and in this case, it wouldn't. It may not. So it's really, don't expect the the citywide control word to be a silver bullet.
There, how's that?
Reordering problems.
Operators should be aware when enabling capability that allows information gleaned from the packet inspection past the pseudo-wire control word to be used in any ECMP calculation. There's a few commas missing, I think.
Okay.
That this may cause Ethernet range to be delivered out of order. Well, actually, I don't think we need the rest of it. Out of order ends it, really, doesn't it?
You don't need the BW.
Okay.
Once they're out of the BW.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think we need to say just well. Do we need to say despite the presence of the control word?
What he's implying is the controller can have a sequence number. That's optional for the.
Oh, right.
And therefore, you would say you can use the sequence number,
Yeah, but no one ever does.
but that's what's again a problem. Yes.
Right.
Well, no, it's the first 4 bits being 0.
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
prevent-
even
the
if the-
intent, one of the intentions of this was to prevent
Yeah.
misordering by
Well-
No, I
ADC.
said, despite the presence, I thought was implying that you could use the sequence number in the controller.
No, I was thinking about looking at the first 4
No, I'm
bits.
sorry, but,
No.
This
you actually
text will be
could.
in the Dropbox.
So do we? My only question is: do I need, despite the presence of the control word in there?
I think so, because the intent of the
Yeah,
control, one
okay.
of the intents of the
Yeah.
control word was to prevent packet misordering through aliasing, and obviously it's not doing anything by being
What we
inserted here.
recommend using in this case, using the sequence number.
Because nobody can implement the sequence number.
Oh, we know it can be a question. I implement the sequence
Actually, you
number.
do, of course.
That's
Yeah,
an option, but
But no one implements the sequence number for Ethernet. Yeah? Yeah, sure. Okay.
actually, I'm not the only one here. There are those who use the sequence number. It's always an option and by default off, but you can turn it on.
Okay. So if I change this last sentence as determined here, is there any other changes I need to make for this to be acceptable to the people present in the room? Sorry? Well, so then you see the next thing I could see, we can do this a number of ways, but it'd be kind of nice to finish this. So one of the things to do is to try and get this text to be what the people in the room would like to see, and then ask Matthew then put it in last call, when of course everyone will have the opportunity to comment on it, and when we will be bound to address each of the comments. So I'd like to get this to, if I can, get this to last call, because I seem to have taken rather more meetings over this than I feel comfortable with.
Right. So the proposal is that Stuart go back, he make this particular one change to the text, then I start the last call process, and Matthew is the judge of consensus for the last call.
Is everyone happy with that as an approach? Anyone think this is not a good approach?
Perfect.
AD happy? Okay, that's what we're going to do then. If someone captures those words for me.
It's already captured because this is in the Dropbox.
Okay. All right.
It's already captured.
Okay, I think we're done.
Okay, and we have one more thing on the agenda, so people, please don't leave. Okay, so here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some text that I've put together for a liaison, which is going to be going out to some of our SDO partners, the Broadband Forum, ITUT Study Group 15, Working Party 3, MEF, IEEE 802.1 TSN, and IEEE RAC. And Glenn, it's great that you're in the room, and Pat as well. I have good email contacts for the right people to send this to for everybody but the RAC. So do either of you know who or how to address a liaison to the RAC?
Yeah, you can send it, should he send it to Bob Grove or to Angela? Angela. So you can send it to the, let me be good and go online.
Okay,
Pat Thaler, Broadcom, and past vice chair of 802, and a RAC member too, actually. Yeah, if you send it to Angela, and you can ping me or Glenn for her email address. She's the RAC administrator.
awesome. So if either of you could send me Angela's email address, then I will make sure that it gets to her.
Okay. Yeah. Are you online right now? Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thank you, Glenn and Pat.
Yeah. Well, I think you want to send it to the RAC rather than to the registration authority.
Administrator, RAC administrator, that's what comes up.
Yeah, RAC admin. Okay. Yeah, so that probably is fine then. Okay.
Yakov,
IEEE dash registration dash authority at IEEE.org.
could you wait?
I'll send it to you.
Okay, send it to us, please.
Well, just read it again slow. I didn't type fast enough.
IEEE
Yeah.
dash registration dash authority at IEEE.org.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
That's what comes up when you hit RAC administration.
Very good.
IEEE.
Excellent. And we could also send it to Angela for redundancy as well.
Yeah, and then that, if you use the REC administrator email address, then that should never go wrong, because
There's also, by the way, RAC,
if the person changes.
RAC chair at IEEE.org.
Okay.
So you can send it to that one too, and there you
Okay.
go.
Yeah. rac-chair at IEEE.org. Thank you very much. You,
Yes.
yes. Okay. So your help on this is greatly appreciated. And as I said, I've got good contacts for all the other recipients of the liaison. So what the liaison is going to say is on 2 slides here. And basically, it's kind of a long liaison just because we figured that a lot of the recipients don't have the background knowledge of what's going on. So we basically just wanted to summarize the contents of the draft in a couple of paragraphs, just so they're aware of what was going on and what we're asking of them. So pseudo-wire encapsulation, well, do people just want to read it, or do they want me to read it? Or should I just give people a chance? Okay, I'll just give people a chance to read this. And if you have any comments on the text as you're reading, we can do this in real time. Okay. Is there anyone who hasn't finished yet on this page?
You want to specify precisely why it might be mistaken as an IP packet by specifying the first bits happen to be 4 or 6?
I actually had that in the first paragraph, about 7 lines down in the first paragraph.
Oh, nice. I meant in the second paragraph. If it turns out that the first few bits of a MAC address are the first 4 bits, the first nibble is 4 or 6, then you have this problem. You know, once again, just making it even more clear. I agree. It's written, but
Yeah,
how many times you want to read?
it's already in the first paragraph.
I guess.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
Oh, it's here.
Okay, yep, it's here as well.
Okay, so you also thought it wasn't clear.
Yeah, okay, very good. Yep.
What's the ask? That's really what matters.
Yeah, so the last paragraph is, what is the ask?
That's why it shouldn't be recommended, it should be mandatory.
Only recommending that they be familiar with it or that they consider.
Why don't we recommend they don't give out MAC addresses?
Okay, well,
It's
yep.
So what's the controversy?
Because while I only don't speak for the RAC and I only speak as myself, I think there's no chance in hell that the RAC will give up 1/8 of the
Right.
address space.
Particularly when they're running out.
Well, we're not. No, we're not running out. We are trying to follow our mandate to make the space last for 100 years.
Right.
And
Well-
so, I mean, we are far from running out, but we can't be but we need to continue to manage it so that it lasts.
Oh, yes, so of course, but the damage has already been done.
Yes.
So there's no action that the RAC could take now to ameliorate this.
Yeah, the addresses are already out there. But
That's right,
But
exactly.
anyway, yeah, there's no way the randomization people are not going to are going to throw out 1/8 of the addresses when they randomize and choose another one. And there's no way we're going to throw out 1/8 of what we can assign. So, it's just, so you're telling us that there's a draft online that talks about this and warns people about this. And then you're saying that we should be aware of the draft existing.
Yes, exactly.
So, okay, so you're not expecting any kind of response or whatever, I guess.
No, we
yeah.
are inviting response, but we're not requesting it.
Okay.
The response you're gonna get, if you do get one, so.
That's okay. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Any other comments? Questions? Concerns? Glenn's getting up.
Yeah, it's Glenn Parsons. Just a minor nit that the Ethernet MAC addresses are assigned by the IEEE Registration Authority.
Okay, so what?
So delete committee. And
Thank you
C.
very much. So
The
the
committee just provides oversight, guidance,
Very good.
rules, and such.
I want to make sure I'm correct. So they are assigned by the IEEE Registration Authority, just like that?
Yep, and then take the C off of the,
Okay,
so it's just RA.
cool. Thank you. Deborah?
Deborah, and I'm hoping, right, we're saying we're going to begin working group last call very soon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I
So-
just edited the text. I'm ready to upload it.
And, these other SDOs, they may, ITU, it doesn't meet until next September. So I think, and they don't know a lot of them don't remember or understand our process and when comments can really be entertained. So I think you should be more, not saying the draft is really still in progress unless you
Okay,
put a more, I mean, if we put this through in the next 2 months, by the time ITU ever meets, it would be
that's
at the
true.
RFC editor.
So you can simply add, they're nearing completion.
So should we just remove the highlighted sentence?
Actually, I don't see why they need to comment on this draft.
Okay, very good.
I think we're informing them, and if they have any concerns or anything, they can, on interpretation or understanding it, they can let us know.
Okay, very good.
I think in every one of their specs, they use the control word anyway, don't they? In every one of their specs I've ever read, they use the control word anyway, don't they?
From ITU?
ITU, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Control word is mandatory in ITU. Ethernet, wait a second, no, I don't think it, wait a second. It's 15, 15.
Yeah, well, certainly for MPLS TP, it was compulsory.
No, I'm thinking about the Ethernet pseudo-wire one, which was, I'll check it. Considering I think I was the editor of it. Yeah, it's been a while.
But nonetheless, there are groups that make it optional.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they're having this debate in another forum.
Okay.
So the sooner this goes out, the better.
Yeah.
Okay. I anticipate sending this out while we're here this week.
So, yeah, and you should send it out together with a copy of version 4 of the document when I've uploaded it.
I'm just sending a pointer to the document online.
In the ITU,
Without the version
they
number.
call Common interworking indicators.
Yes.
Controller is also optional for.
Okay.
It is optional. And that was, if I remember correctly, because someone was sitting in the audience at the time who said it should be optional. I'm not going to mention who that person was.
But it would either be me or it would have been Luca.
It was you.
Yeah, the nice thing about the tools URL is that it always takes you to the most recent revision of the text.
Well, unless you put a specific number.
Yeah. No, you don't.
BBF meets next week.
Yes,
So
I
they're
know.
gonna grab the O3.
No, I'm going to load it. I've done the edit
Okay, good.
on my system at home. I'll compile it in a minute.
Yeah, but I won't send this until 04 is actually up online.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else anyone would like to bring up for PALS while we're here? We still have a little bit of time. If not, I would like to thank you all for coming to what may have been the last meeting of PALS and for coming to PALS and Pee Wee 3 before that for all these years. And I think we're adjourned.
So see you next meeting.
Right, so I've done the edit. I'll do the
So you
compile.
guys talked about the MD5 and TCPAO.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
You think you're done with that?
No.